Hi there, I'm Caroline Mitchell, Canine Behaviourist at Good Doggy. So we all know that our dogs learn through a process of trial and error, but what does that really mean? I want to give you an insight today into how that process kind of works and actually why we should all be in awe of our amazing dogs and how they learn much more than we already are. This is actually really a very interesting way to learn. So if you and I were in a room and I promised you £1 if you impress me, I'm going to give you no other instructions. I'm not going to give you any hints. I'm not going to help answer any questions. I'm going to give you no clue or indication as to how you could impress me. I'm just going to stand in the corner of the room with my pound coin in my hand. Where would you even start? Would you even try? This is what we do to our dogs. The very first time we try to teach them a trick. They don't understand the word sit, or any words for that matter. They don't understand what learning is. They don't understand that they do something for us and then they get a reward in return for that. They don't know what sitting is. They don't know that that's a thing that we like. You know, it's just something that happens to them when they're making themselves comfy. All they know in that moment is that the human in front of them has something that smells pretty yummy, and that human is making a noise and looking at them. So at that point, all they really know is that this has something to do with me and there's something yummy there. But they don't know if we want to share that food. They don't know what the words are we're saying. They don't know anything at all. To be fair, it's a miracle they get past this very first hurdle. If this was you and me sitting in this room, you probably wouldn't bother. You'd maybe just walk around, pick some stuff up, you know, you'd try and say some words or something like that, you know, and eventually you would give up because you just don't know what I want. I've not really given you any kind of clue or indication as to what it is. If your boss did this to you at work, you would accuse them of being toxic and find another job. But our dogs, they continue on. So despite being very, very confused, they might wander off, they might try and take the treat, they might paw at it, they might even get bored, and while they're getting bored, they might put their bum down on the ground and sit. They didn't do that on purpose, it was just a thing that they did while they're trying to figure out what on earth is going on in front of them. But if they did sit, hopefully, you were there, you were watching, you celebrated that sit and you gave them the food. They had no idea what just happened, so the process will start again. We get the treat out again, we garble some noise at the dog, and the process starts. And they will keep on repeating this until they start to notice a pattern that's happening. When they sit every single time and we give them a treat, they might now start to go, maybe that's what this is about. And they might try and sit on purpose. And when they do that, they'll see what happens next. Hopefully we'll notice that and we'll give them a reward and loads of encouragement and loads of praise at that time. So that will reinforce their suspicions. So if your pup sits perfectly and earns a treat every single time, they will figure out the pattern much, much quicker. It will be very clear to them what it is that you need them to do, and learning will be really, really fast for that dog. But what do you think would happen if the pup did like a half sit, you know, when they kind of crouch, the bum's not quite on the floor and they're sort of hovering in the air. What a lot of people do is they reward that. They go, oh, it's a good effort, he's trying, and they give him a treat. But how do you think that actually affects our pup and that learning process? Bearing in mind they're needing us to be very consistent so they can work out the pattern and see exactly what the code is. What does this noise, that sit noise, mean? So if we reward them for a good effort, it really just waters down the whole process. It creates a grey area for them and puts doubt in their mind. They were quite happy thinking they had to put their bum on the floor, but now they got a reward for a half a bum. So maybe the bum had nothing to do with it at all. And they have to go back to square one and start trying to figure out what actually is the code here. So this could set them back quite far. So actually it's not very helpful for them if we do actually reward good efforts and good intentions. It's much better if we are consistent in what we expect and our timing of the treat. And that will help them figure out what they want quicker. It helps them figure out the pattern quicker. And that keeps the momentum going for them. So we can take this a wee step further and we can use these moments of error to help our pups learn faster. So rather than rewarding a good effort, by not rewarding them and asking them to try again, we're giving them an opportunity to realize that that half set wasn't what we wanted. And they can try again, and hopefully this time they do the proper set, and then they get a reward for it. And then that helps them really narrow down what it is that they should do and what they shouldn't do. Because knowing what a sit isn't is just as important as knowing what it is. It really helps them focus in on what they're supposed to be doing and what that actually means. There's no need for punishment. Your pup is just trying his best. So as soon as he does the wrong thing, something that you don't want, but maybe is close, you just ignore it and you just try again, and you just keep on trying until it becomes clear to them what they're supposed to be doing, and they start to do it more and more frequently. Part of the learning process, especially in trial and error, is testing what isn't a good response, as well as looking for what is. So this learning by error is actually really useful for them. When he starts to figure out what he thinks we want, he might test out his suspicions and try some other things. Sometimes this can be frustrating because it looks like our dogs have forgotten everything we've taught them. But actually, when you expect that and know it's a part of the learning process, then you take that as a win because you know you're nearly there. Your puppy has got very good suspicions. They think that a sit is putting the bum on the floor, but they're trying a few variations just to make sure they were right. And as long as we are consistent, then we will confirm their suspicions and they will go, yes, I was right the first time. I know exactly what it is, and now I can do it. But if we start rewarding those grey areas at this point, trying to encourage them and trying to help them, then actually it just muddies the water even more. So consistency about what we want is really important when it comes to learning through trial and error. Dogs learn loads of things via trial and error. So it's not just stuff that we try to teach them, although that was an example there of us actually trying to teach our cue to our dogs, an intentional behaviour that we can ask for whenever we need it. But they learn loads of stuff all day long via trial and error. In fact, your dog spends the whole day just watching what you're doing. They're going about their business, they're lazing around, investigating stuff, sniffing stuff, picking stuff up, trying to eat stuff. And as that day goes on, and as things happen and evolve throughout the day, we'll react differently to the behaviours that they're showing us. Some actions provoke a reaction, some won't. And they will start to figure out the ones that get different kinds of reactions and start to store that knowledge and use it later. So maybe your dog goes into the corner of the room and just lies down very nicely, picks up his chew toy and just sits on there munching it. What would your reaction be to that? A lot of people probably would just enjoy the moment. They would appreciate it, but they probably wouldn't respond to it. They would just go, oh, isn't that nice? Maybe they take a photo. But dogs don't care about having their photos taken. So as far as your dog's concerned, that didn't provoke very much of a reaction. But what if your dog went into the corner of the room and crouched like he was about to go to the toilet? That's going to get you out of your chair. You're going to go over to him, you're going to quickly whoosh him out to the back door and hope to get him there before he does his business, and then you're going to give him a big reward if you catch him outside. That behaviour got a good reaction. At that time, maybe the dog needed the toilet, but they will remember that position, that type of behaviour, got a big reaction from you. The dog that goes and just kind of sits beside you and comes over to you when you come in through the front door and says, hi, Dad. That dog might not get very much reaction, but the one that jumps up at you at the door and pounds against you because he's so excited might get a bigger reaction. Maybe you try to tell him to get down. Maybe you try to push him out the way. Maybe you're looking at him and you're getting cross with him. Or maybe you play with him because you're like, this is great. I love my dog when I come home from work. I love that he's that reactive to me in that kind of way. All day long, though, they'll be just noticing how we respond to things. Your dog doesn't have much better to do. He doesn't have to have a job to go to. He doesn't have to worry about how the mortgage gets paid. He doesn't have to worry about, Auntie Sarah and her dramas. All he does is just go about his business and watch how we respond to different things. And just like in the example above, once he starts to sort of connect behaviours together, he'll start to test them out and see how he does. And as a puppy, we'll probably work on these and we'll try to teach him not to do these things. And then he'll be fine for a bit. But when he's a teenager, he'll refer back to that list and you'll see all these behaviours come back bigger and better. So he's still learning by using this trial and error, but he's teaching us, he's learning from us, and he is learning what gets the best reactions that he can use at other times. So whenever you're working with a dog that perhaps does things like stealing your phone or steals your glasses, then you can be sure that your dog has figured out that is the best way to get you out of your chair, get you talking to them, getting you interacting with them. So when we're bringing up our puppy and our dog and we're looking at these kind of behaviours, we need to look at the ones that we really prefer and make sure that those are the ones that get the biggest reactions. Those are the ones that get the rewarding responses, and everything else becomes boring. Because your dog does not know what a phone is, but he does know that when he touches your phone, he gets a reaction. They've been watching and experimenting on us the whole time, and we didn't even notice. Hopefully that's been helpful, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye-bye.